What's going on YouTube? My name is Twig, and today we are talking about the newly released game called Akimbot. Very similar to the Ratchet & Clank series, and I normally don't like comparing games in my reviews too much, but you can definitely tell the inspiration and vision behind Akimbot is to resonate with people who enjoy the fun 3D action platforming genre. Of course, the game may not be up to the same level as the Ratchet & Clank games, but that's completely expected coming from an indie team who wanted to take a shot at delivering something fun and entertaining at a killer price point. I do want to start off by giving a special thanks to Plaion, Koch Media, and Keymailer for giving me this review code. I sent in a request and got a reply within no time at all. The price point for Akimbot is currently $19.99 on Steam. It's also available on Xbox and PlayStation. As usual with my 100% reviews, I'll break up the video accordingly to talk about my view on different parts of the game, as well as give an achievement breakdown of my achievement journey if you're into that. Timestamps are linked down below along with my Steam profile, so feel free to add me on there or join my curator group. I really appreciate you watching. Now, let's hop into this review. Akimbot is, like I said before, a 3D action platformer with shooting and melee mechanics. The game itself is almost completely linear, with there being some hidden paths to take that lead to collectibles. Set in a sci-fi world where only robots exist, you travel the galaxy and experience non-stop robot mayhem and explosive action as you blast your way through armies of robots, pilot spaceships, and experience the story of two unlikely heroes as they try to save the universe. This game features a ton of mini-games, just enough weapons to keep things fresh, and 17 missions for you to play through, which will take roughly around 9 hours to beat depending on the difficulty and how much exploring that you do. There are a ton of missable achievements, which we'll talk about here in a bit, but the game does feature a checkpoint select save system, which makes it easy to go back and do cleanup. The story follows a robot named Exy and his sidekick named Shipset, who at the beginning of the game are being transported to mobsters for crimes unknown to us at the time. Shipset devises a plan to escape, and they crash land onto an island called Data Bay. As they work their way across the island to find a ship in order to escape, they run into the bad guys looking for them, and they learn of a bigger threat to the universe than what they could have imagined. I normally talk about the Steam Deck in its own section, but this time I just wanted to mention my experience with it while I talk about the overall technical state of the game, since I don't have too much to say on it. I did my entire 100% journey on PC in order to record footage for this video, and I ran into no crashes or freezing whatsoever. I might have had the rare occasional stutter, which probably came from running OBS honestly, but the overall performance was killer. I've seen some people report a bug that occurs when they fall into water and the character gets stuck in the swimming animation when returning to land, but I never ran into that. I did download and boot up Akimbot on the deck in order to replay some missions for the Botcoin Crate achievement, and the game didn't run very well at first. I set most things to low, I manually set the resolution, and I turned down the resolution render scale to a lower setting in order to get things playable. But the longer I played, or the busier areas that I was in, I dropped frames until I lowered the render scale, which helped out a little bit. It's currently not verified on the deck, but the devs are hoping that they get it verified soon. As far as how hard this game is, the answer is not very hard at all. Of course, that is entirely depending on the difficulty that you select to play on. You can choose between cool, tempered, and overclocked. Some people were struggling with the mini games or the levels where you pilot a spaceship, but overall I would say this is a pretty easy game to 100%. It is good to note that you can turn aim assist on or off, or even on low. The gameplay is pretty basic, which in my opinion is a good thing. You have a mission objective which leads you pretty much only in the forward direction unless you're in a big room and tasked with solving a puzzle. The linear aspect of the game doesn't bother me. In fact, it is exactly how I imagined playing this game. Evil Raptor, who are the developers, nailed the general flow in my opinion. Sure, there were chapters that I enjoyed more than others, but for the most part you're constantly doing other activities as you go through those levels. We'll talk about the combat in just a minute, but as you play you're constantly fighting enemies, platforming, solving puzzles, playing a hacking minigame, and even fighting bosses to progress through the story. I wouldn't say the story is the strong point by any means, but the characters were likable enough and had some funny moments. I personally really enjoyed the platforming and combat after getting used to it. The platforming is the kind of thing that people are on the fence about when it comes to Akimbot because there can be a little bit of a janky feeling with certain parts of it. For instance, when you're jumping onto or from the running walls, your character snaps on and off of it whenever you get somewhat close. The animation or feel of it isn't that smooth, but after spending some time doing it, the actions didn't really bother me. The combat was actually the highlight of the game for me. There isn't a whole lot there, but I believe it has just enough variety to get you through the game. There are 4 total guns that you unlock: the assault rifle, the sniper, the rocket launcher, and the minigun. Each gun is more effectively used against certain enemy robots, so you can expect to be switching between them mid-fight quite a bit in the later levels, or at least I did. I personally loved the feel of all the weapons, and I thought that it was pretty cool how if you didn't zoom in through the scope on, say, the sniper rifle, the recoil would push your character back. There are other special weapons that you can get by buying them in the shop with your bolts currency. You get bolts from crates by blowing them up all throughout the missions. These special weapons are unique because they have a limited ammo bar that you use, and then you refill that ammo bar by taking out other bots. So their use is really limited, but they're super powerful. The normal guns don't necessarily have ammo in this game. Instead, they're on a charging meter that has a cooldown after using that weapon too heavily too quickly. As you battle other robots on your journey, you're bound to take damage, and the way they tackled health packs in this game is by allowing you to shoot these floating green robots that can refill your health. You also have a melee attack along with a jumping slam attack, and honestly, the jumping, dashing, and all the platforming felt really good to me. It definitely gives off that PS2 era feel if you've ever played games from that time period. XE has the ability to hack systems, which is how you traverse through locked doors that you need to get through. The hacking minigames were awesome, and so were the world puzzles. There are a few different ones throughout the game, but there's one that involves a fairly easy symbol to value diagram where you have to do basic addition mixed in with a little memorization in order to figure out the code to unlock the door. I'm a sucker for things like that, and I had a blast with all the puzzles. There were missions where you fly a spaceship or drive a car. The mechanics felt good, but parts of those levels were probably my least favorite. And then lastly, boss battles were good. They had easy patterns to pick up, but overall, a great time nonetheless. With there being 51 achievements, that may sound like a lot, but honestly, it's not too bad. There are quite a few missable ones. I think around half or so are missable, but the good news is that there is a checkpoint select within the missions menu, so you can load whichever one you want. I followed a guide through my playthrough to minimize the amount that I have to replay and just save me a bunch of time. There is no difficulty achievements, and you unlock about half of the 51 achievements just by playing through the game. There is a platinum trophy achievement for obtaining all others, as well as a collection achievement for collecting all of the lost data logs. Some notable ones that I enjoyed going after were the mission time trial one, where you have a certain amount of time to get from point A to point B, but the catch is that you can't get hit while going there. Probably the hardest achievement in the game, but honestly you should be pretty familiar with the platforming by then, so it shouldn't be too bad. My strategy was to use the sniper to take out enemies from afar, and you're not really in a crunch for time as long as you jump and dash efficiently. Another cool one is when you have to play the Street Fighter minigame with ship set. You have to defeat the enemy without taking a hit, which I thought was pretty cool. But there are a lot of small missable ones like that where you have to crush a robot with your dune buggy in one of those missions where you're controlling the car. In one of the spaceship missions, you just have to do a barrel roll, and that'll unlock an achievement. And then there's one for like maxing out a special weapon. So on that one, just make sure to focus on one weapon as you spin your bot coins, leveling them up. If you look at my profile, you'll notice I have almost 11.5 hours or so in the game, and that's because one achievement took me quite a bit extra time to clean up. There is an achievement called a Robbery Odyssey that requires you to break 75% of the galaxy's bot coin crates found all throughout the game. As I was playing, I thought I'd naturally break 75% easily just by shooting the ones I come across, but that wasn't the case, unfortunately. I had to replay probably about a third of the game just searching for boxes. The checkpoint system works good, but if you load an earlier save from that mission, it saves that new point, so you basically have to replay the whole mission to get back to those other save points, which makes sense, but it definitely sucked because I didn't realize that at first. I enjoyed my time with Akimbot. It was a fun time, and for the price point, I don't think you can beat it. When it goes on sale, I definitely recommend picking this one up. Let's keep an eye out and see if it gets Steam Deck verified, because it'd be the perfect game to play on the go. Since it has those save points, my personal favorite gun would have to be the minigun, although I did love the sniper. Platforming in the later levels turns it up a notch, and I really enjoyed that. I'm a huge fan of all the references to other games that they made throughout the story and throughout the dialogue in the cutscenes. Even the achievements have slight references to Sonic, Fallout, Jurassic Park, Animal Crossing, and more. I hope they make a sequel and they're able to take the experience from this game to go bigger and better. If you enjoyed this review after 100%, be sure to give this video a like. It means the world to me that you're here watching the video, spending your time listening to me talk about games. I just reached membership level on my YouTube account, which is pretty huge for me. I'm going to keep on grinding. The games have been really fun, and documenting this journey has been awesome. I've got a few more videos planned for this week, so feel free to subscribe to stay up to date on what we have coming. I made my first community post talking about what's in the works and what I'm up to, and I'll also try to keep the Steam Curator group up to date as well. Thank you all. Have an awesome week, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.